Hello YouTube, Sam here from youtube.com/onlivegamer for the New Boston, and in this tutorial we're going to be talking about graphics. Now we're going to be working with graphics a lot throughout the next couple tutorials. So let's go ahead and create a new project. We will select a Windows Forms application and we will just call it Graphics Demo. Now in this program we're going to be making some of the simplest graphic drawings that you can do. So we'll just wait for that to load, and once it's done we'll just resize the form some, and let's come over here to our toolbox and we'll add a button, make it a little bit bigger. We'll set the text to draw rectangle, and we will set the name to button draw. So let's go ahead and center it some, and we'll double click on draw rectangle to open up the event handler. So whenever button draw is clicked, it's going to run this. So what we need to do first is create a graphics object, or it would be more like a variable because we're not creating a new instance of the object. So we'll just do private, and we'll call it G as system.drawing.graphics. Now I believe system.drawing is already imported, so let's just go ahead and see if graphics shows up. So system.drawing is already imported, but if you ever need to access graphics and it's not imported, you can just go ahead and use the longhand version of that. So now that we have our G, what we want to do is set it equal to something. So we'll do that whenever the form loads. So we'll set G equals, and then we'll type in me. Now me refers to the form1 class, which is the form1 right here. So what we need to do is create graphics for that. So we'll just call me.create graphics. It says public function create graphics as system.drawing.graphics creates the graphics for the control. So basically it lets us draw stuff on our form. So G is going to be equal to me.create graphics. So whenever we draw anything with G, it's going to be drawn directly to the form. Now you can set G equal to, say, button draw.create graphics, I think, but you can set it, don't quote me on that, but you can set it equal to other things to draw on certain parts of your program. So whenever they click draw, what we want to do is draw a rectangle. So G.draw, and you can see that there's a whole bunch of stuff here that we can use. What we want to do is select draw rectangle. Now draw rectangle is going to take some arguments. The first version of draw rectangle takes a pen and a rectangle. Now you can make objects of rectangles, and you need 4 points to that, and we'll go into that later. But for now we're just going to use this version of draw rectangle, which takes a pen object, and then our X position and our Y position, which is the top left corner of our rectangle, the width and the height. So to specify our pen, what we want to do is just type pens dot, and this I believe is an enumeration, and we can just select any color we want. So we'll just do pens dot black. Our X position, I'll start it off at, let's say 1 1, so you guys can see where that is. That's going to be somewhere right up in here close to the corner of form 1, and the bigger these numbers are, the farther away it gets. So this is the starting point for your X position and Y position. This will be 0 0, and it goes all the way down to right here, and this will be the biggest. So we'll do 1 1, and for our width we'll just make it 20 pixels long, and or let's make that a little bit bigger, 30 pixels long and 20 pixels wide. So go ahead and run this, and you can see when we click draw rectangle, it draws a rectangle right here in our form. So let's just move that away from the top left corner so you can see it a little bit better. So we'll do it 30 pixels down and 30 pixels across, or 30 pixels across and 30 pixels down. Go ahead and run this, and when we click draw rectangle, you can see that it draws the rectangle for us. So let's go ahead and close out of that. We can also use fill rectangle. So let's go ahead and run this. And for fill rectangle, what we're going to need is a brush. So we'll just type brushes dot black. So whenever you're filling something, use a brush to fill it, and whenever you're drawing the outline or just draw, you're going to use a pen. So go ahead and run this. We'll click draw rectangle, and you can see that it fills a rectangle on our Form 1. So go ahead, practice a little bit with graphics. Look at some of the methods that you can use by typing draw and see what kind of stuff you can draw. And once you've played around with that a little bit, maybe there's something you don't know, just move on to the next tutorial and your questions will probably be answered, and we'll look more at graphics. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next tutorial.